Hello, how you doing? My foundations class of inquiry, how you doing? My name is Bridget Rosado. I'm doing, my topic is the human rights violations in Guantanamo Bay. Okay, so the United States, they created a prison in Cuba. And it was for terrorists and all types of criminals against the law. It is known for its horrifying and crucial methods of just torturing these suspected terrorists that are not even, they don't even have charges against them. They're just suspected terrorists, so that's the reason why they're in there. It's crazy. Authority was highly abused in this place. It was highly abused. Soldiers took advantage of their power and they violated the human rights of the inmates. The reason why I'm doing this topic is because it allows me to learn and see what the United States are operating behind closed doors. It allows me to expand my thoughts on how the United States bends its own regulations. Many people believe that Guantanamo Bay is just a regular prison, just like any other federal penitentiary, state, prison, facility, whatever. But we as humans, we have rights, and under any circumstances, they should not be broken. Doesn't matter. Cool. So, let me give you a little bit of history on Guantanamo Bay. In February 1903, U.S. President Theodore Roosevelt signs a deal with Cuba to lease a 45 square mile, which is now Guantanamo Bay. In January 1961, the United States and Cuba broke off its relations. But the president at the time, which is President Eisenhower, stated that whatever relationship is broken off between Cuba and the United States, Guantanamo Bay has no effect on this broken off relationship. So Guantanamo Bay stood. Even though Cuba and the United States is no longer partners, Guantanamo Bay stays. And January 11 of 2002 was the first operation of Guantanamo Bay, and it detained 20 prisoners at first. Okay, so that's just a little bit of history on it. Politics. Let's talk about politics. Guantanamo Bay has a huge impact on politics, and basically the U.S. government. Guantanamo Bay causes huge and drastic problems for the U.S. government, and nations around the world are also participating in their sympathy for tortured prisoners and enforce the closure of Guantanamo Bay. ABC News, they conducted a poll on the Americans, and 70% of the Americans oppose of imprisoning any inmates to Guantanamo Bay due to the fact that they are just suspected terrorists. They have no crimes. An example, they incarcerated a prisoner. His name was Salim Ahmed, and they charged him with participation of the terrorist acts, but he denied any charges of the participating in any terrorist acts with Osama bin Laden. He was just Osama bin Laden's driver. Didn't have any relations of any terrorist attacks, nothing. He was just simply the driver. He admitted to it. So that was just an example of just violating human rights. He wasn't charged with anything. He was just the driver. He admitted to it. The Supreme Courts, they have these human rights violations problems almost every day, and most of them are from Guantanamo Bay. So just imagine if Guantanamo Bay was closed, like the amount of relief, the fewer cases that the Supreme Court would have to deal with. Okay, now, when President Obama, when he came into the campaign candidate, when he became president of the United States, he forced the shutdown of Guantanamo Bay because he didn't want to deal with any of the human rights violations. He was all for protecting human rights, and society and all civilians have just to be treated well. So this leaves me with a question of, like, how can I say this? Like, the soldiers that were torturing these inmates, there was a technique, it's called waterboarding. They hold a cloth over the mouth of the person and they pour water on it. So it allows the person to like choke, and it was really used for interrogations if they weren't cooperating or they wasn't giving the right answers that the U.S. naval base wanted to hear. They would just be tortured. Okay, now this also leaves you with the question of like the heartless and uncompassionate, just the heartless emotions that were buried in these U.S. soldiers' hearts. Like, why didn't they feel anything? And this brings me back to a research that I did on a psychologist. His name was Dr. Stanley Milgram. He was a famous psychologist in the 60s. He studied the behavior on obedience due to his research on Hitler and the Nazis. And he found that through his studies that people would commit these torturous acts under higher authority of basically of a higher being. You know what I'm saying? Like, maybe these U.S. soldiers really felt no heart and really felt no emotion towards these prisoners, but maybe they were just acting obedient under their naval base commander or their chief in command. So, you know, we would really never know the real answer to that. But that's basically all I have today. Give you the history. I'll give you the political effects on the U.S. government due to all these criminal acts that are going on in Guantanamo Bay under U.S. jurisdiction. And let me just show you a couple of pictures, so you could get a glimpse of the actual inside of Guantanamo Bay and their prisoners. This is a prisoner. He's obviously being tortured. There's blood splattered all over the floor. There's a U.S. soldier hovering over him with a gun pointed in the face, naked. Unnecessary. Also, the waterboarding. Let me show you what it is. In this picture, you see the guy, rag over the face, pouring water, causing the inmate to suffocate and drown in his own water and stuff without actually being fully covered in water. Which is torturous acts. I'll give you one more. Let's say inmates will have to be forced to do hard labor on their knees and wear these toxic masks. I don't really know what the toxic masks were for, but you can obviously see something that's not right in this picture. So that's all. That is my presentation on the human rights and Guantanamo Bay. Thank you very much. See ya.